Amazon storage limits for what you can ship into FBA still causing a lot of sellers some problems. My name is Stephen Pope, and I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. In this video, I'm going to discuss kind of what's developed and what you need to know about shipping restrictions, because chances are if you're watching this video, you probably have some shipping restrictions that are thwarting your plans to grow your sales. So this particular article, I'll link this in the description of the video, comes from Empire Flippers, and they talk about some of the history. I'm going to jump right into the paragraph that talks about the storage limits criteria, and that's because this particular paragraph has a piece of information that I think you'll find fascinating. So it states there are terms on storage limits taken from Amazon. Under the FBA inventory storage limits policy, you will not be able to create new shipments to Amazon for a storage type until your inventory level drops below your limit for that storage type. So it could be like shoes or hazmat or whatever. While you now have unlimited storage volume, you have limits on the number of products you can store. This is probably the most frustrating aspect about this, right? So like, you got that IPI score above 500, which means you can have unlimited storage at Amazon, right? Well, that's cool. You technically, I guess you could store unlimited things at Amazon, but Amazon won't let you ship in very much right now. They're simply out of room. You can find the number of items that you can ship in on your storage queue section. Scroll to the very bottom of the page, collapse tab that reads Restock Limit and Storage Limit. I'll showcase that next. According to Amazon, your storage limits are calculated using the following factors. Your sales volume, including your sales seasonality periods. This is the part that I found the most interesting because I was not aware that seasonality factors could go into the shipping restrictions, because I sell a very seasonal product, very hot around Mother's Day and Christmas time, and I gotta say, the shipping restrictions were brutal on my account selling wine glasses with funny sayings on them. The second thing is your historical IPI inventory performance index scores. This is probably the most logical one and the one that most people would have assumed this would be based on. But those sitting at 450, 500 IPI scores are probably still scratching their heads, wondering what the hell is going on. And finally, available fulfillment center capacity. Now, this is the one that I've long suspected, but haven't seen specifically spelled out by Amazon until I read this article. So basically, it's true. Amazon is out of space. The supply chain is a giant wreck right now. A lot of people are like, well, COVID's over. Why haven't we returned to normal? Well, what most people don't realize is that the structural damage to the supply chain is going to take 2 additional years to straighten out. And that is in a best case scenario, in my opinion. So for the next 2 years, your supply chain is going to be a giant headache. Now, for those that overcome that problem, this becomes your competitive advantage. For example, I have clients that are suspicious about placing in orders for some of their best sellers that are going to stock out because they're like, I don't want to spend $24,000 on a 40-foot container. Can't blame them. But it means they're going to stock out before the Christmas run is over. So you have some people who are making decisions and changes based on how they view the current landscape and market. For those that took my advice last year, if you play videos from me in July of 2020, I told everybody, buy a year supply of products right then. If you had taken that advice, you would have saved 80% on your supply chain woes, even accounting for the fact you'd have to store this crap for a year. You would also have lower product costs, which have skyrocketed because we have hyperinflation right now. Despite what the government wants to convince the population, hyperinflation of north of 25% on average is the case. And many of the commodity type pricing items, just take lumber as one example, spiked more than 300%. And supposedly it's down about 30% over the last week or two. But nonetheless, that would still be a net gain of 270. Gas prices are up more faster than they have been ever since the month of January. So like everything that it costs to do business is aggressively spiking right now. So with Amazon's supply chain completely jacked up, with everybody who sells on Amazon struggling with these supply chain woes, you really have to be paying closer attention to your operational efficiencies. At My Amazon Guy, we're an agency that focuses on marketing, traffic building. And so for most of our clients, they're struggling because these are some of the core facets that they need to sort out operationally on their side, because we handle the marketing, they handle the operations. So from time to time, I try and give some advice in this area, this arena, if you will. But by and large, many people are left scratching their heads wondering, what should they do? And just like this article states, the Amazon recommendations about selling more inventory, keep your inventory levels low and avoid exceeding storage limit. If only it were that simple, right? There's no option to purchase additional storage space. You can't trade inventory from one type to another. Some of your inventory is mislabeled, and your IPI score, as good as it is, just won't cut it. So there's a lot of problems that you're facing with this. Now, according to Empire Flippers, they've recently interviewed an expert in the field of Amazon FBA inventory management, Chelsea Cohen. Now, Chelsea came on my podcast. We'll link to that podcast interview here. And according to her, some insights along the current state of Amazon FBA and what's going on. Over the past 6 or 7 years, sellers have been stocking up, not having to worry about extra storage units. Amazon has maxed out. They have huge check-in times, products arriving at storage, then it's not available for sale for 3 or 4 weeks later. Now, Amazon has placed restrictions on the number of storage units that can be used. So a lot of good information about what's going on, some eye-popping information about how to handle these situations. Now, mind you, it is in my best interest that most of you continue selling on Amazon. So why would I be talking about these problems? And it's because, in my opinion, while I'm a realist and I say there's no hashtag passive income on Amazon, it's still good to talk about these challenges, because when you overcome these problems, it becomes your competitive advantage. And people generally hire My Amazon Guy to help accelerate their sales growth, manage their PPC, SEO, catalog management, and merchandise their products as well as design. And so some of these operational woes and how to handle them can be very helpful information. So never been a better time to sell on Amazon. Despite these problems that I'm talking about, there's such a substantial amount of growth still available. As one small example, I have a product that sells Age of Sage, Mother's Day gift set, and I'll show that on the screen here. I launched this item 3 weeks before Mother's Day, only had a single product review, and sold more than $135,000 leading into Mother's Day. And the reason that worked is because if you look at this chart, this is 2 years ago for the term of the history Mother's Day gifts, 1 million search volume during the week of Mother's Day. Then with COVID bump, that more than 2.5 went to almost 3 million, 2.8 million there during the Mother's Day for the term Mother's Day gifts. Now check this out. This year, we went up to 5 million and an earlier lead time on Mother's Day gift buying this year. So this is proof there is room for growth on Amazon. This is just one keyword example with it almost doubling the COVID bump. So I think that June is a soft month. I think June Prime Day was a little softer than people wanted it to be, but it's still never been a better time to sell on Amazon because there's just such a tremendous amount of growth. And I obviously rode that wave, did really well with it, and had a lot of success because of that. All right, so earlier in the video, I talked about how I was going to show shipping restock limits. So if you're curious on how to access this, you just go to Inventory, Manage FBA Shipments, and on the bottom here, you'll notice I clicked on this restock button. This pops up. So here you can see, here's my actual storage limits. Right now, I'm limited to 12,000 units, and I only have about 1,000 units left I can ship in. And this limitation used to be at 15,000 back in May. So it's actually gone down. And this is despite the fact that I have a really strong IPI score. I have unlimited storage, everything we talked about. And so obviously super frustrating that I have to be very cognizant about what I ship into Amazon right now. So these are all factors that I personally live on my own account. I share these things on my account. The reason I try and be an Amazon seller myself is because it helps me feel the pains that my own clients experience. It helps me speak to their problems. It also makes me really, quite frankly, better at troubleshooting their problems to help you out as an Amazon seller. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you want to see my past videos on the IPI storage updates, you can check out these videos right here. My name is Steven. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. And if you want to talk to my dad about hiring My Amazon Guy, go to myamazonguy.com.